everyone, and welcome to another week of Just Gay Stuff. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Jess.
I don't know why I was really slow on introducing myself.
You're slow most days, it's okay.
Hey. And as we are welcoming 2025 in, we are welcoming our very first guest to the podcast.
For 2025. Awesome.
2025. This lovely person has watched many of our podcasts before.
And is now seeing the shit show behind the curtain of the recording of this podcast.
We also connected both spiritually and witchy, so we've had full-on conversations outside of the podcast, which is so nice to actually see each other face to face and have this conversation.
You are very witchy. I love that for you.
So
who is it, Lauren? Who is it?
So it is my absolute wonderful pleasure to introduce Brendan.
Who is
Lady Sasscrotch, a drag queen.
Yep.
Ursa Major in Burlesque.
Yeah, and you do a whole bunch of other things, don't you, Brendan?
Yeah, the drag burlesque scene has been like more my recent thing, but I've been around Brisbane doing public rituals and all that sort of stuff for like decades now.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Well, we're going to get into that, but for now, welcome, Brendan.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's nice to like be on an episode, considering I've listened to so many. I'm like, oh, it's my time. I've been chosen.
I love it.
You're like, I'm ready. This isn't your first podcast that you've been on, is it right?
No, I've done 2 episodes over on the Burlesque Bulletin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Great podcast. Shout out Burlesque Bulletin. If any of our listeners love listening to homegrown podcasts, go over and listen to Burlesque Bulletin. We love giving a shout out to local things that are happening.
Local art.
Yes, it all starts at home. You gotta do that.
So, to kick off this interview, why don't you tell us who Lady Sasscrotch is and how you describe the kind of drag that you do?
So I often describe myself as like Myeonjin's cryptid. So I'm like this mythical creature that exists. I'm like, you don't kind of know whatever I'm going to do on stage. I'm kind of like hairy and berry and non-binary and fun. So, and witchy as well. And a nerd. So it's like all of that combined in makes Lady Sasscrotch, and that's what I am.
That's amazing. Well, that's one part of what you do. Yeah. And then what about the burlesque side of you? Ursa Major, where did that come from?
So that's been more of a newer development. So on my journey of loving my body again and connecting to, because like drag kind of encompasses more the femme, mask, merging, non-binary aspects of everything. And then burlesque is now on the side part of that where it's more, there's no padding, no makeup, no anything. It's kind of more stripped back and it's more the reality of me. So really getting to exist as this non-binary, fat, bear creature on stage performing to take my clothes off and have fun and celebrate this fleshy body form that I'm in.
Do you feel more vulnerable doing the burlesque side of things than doing drag?
I think it really depends because, like, they both have parts that do that. I feel like drag, though, I kind of touch more into, like, the storyteller, so I kind of expose my spirit and soul a lot more in that. But I'm still very early in burlesque, so I've only, like, recently debuted my solo and done a couple of group numbers, so maybe there will be more. I mean, I'm out in pasties and like tiny boxes, so that's pretty exposed, I think.
Yeah.
Have you learnt to love yourself more authentically by doing the burlesque side of things? As you are so like raw and bare as in front of people?
I didn't even realise that play on words.
It
bare
does,
your soul
right?
in one, bare your body in the other.
And my name, Ursa Major, is play on the Great Bear constellation.
Yes, tell us about that.
Yeah, I can't show you on this right now. I'd have to move around, but on my left calf, I have a giant star bear, and there's a little bear next to it that I have tattooed. So one's Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and then there's Ursa Minor, which is the smaller bear. So when I came to picking a burlesque name, I'm like, well, I'm a bear, and I'm big. And what's the name that is not existed? I went through the whole burlesque rotary dial list of everyone's names, and it was like, no one's claimed it. I'm taking it. It's mine. So yeah, that's how it kind of happened.
That's awesome. And you were teaching us something in the intro before we started recording about Lauren kind of made a joke about Ursa Major being Ursula from The Little Mermaid, but then you said that there is actually a connection there.
Yeah. In the bear community, female identifying bears will often be referred to as Ursulas. So Ursa being the Latin word for bear. So that gives you the title there.
Wow, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, educated.
I love how we had to tell Brendan, wait, save that for the podcast. We'll say that again on the podcast.
Yes, so many times.
I'm a Gemini. I talk so much, so
we love that. We love that here.
So we touched on your burlesque name and how that came to you, but what about the name Lady Sasscrotch? How did that come about?
So a Sasquatch is a big hairy beast. It's a myth. It's all this sort of thing. And I love a pun. So of course I'm sassy. And then I was like, well, how do I make that into a sassy pun name? So Sasscrotch came. There is another Lady Sasscrotch who performs in the US. So that was the initial idea. But then Lady Sasscrotch came from that. The inspiration is kind of like those traveling circus side attractions. So it'd be like the bearded lady. So that's kind of the idea behind who Lady Sasscrotch is that freak show bearded lady alternate kind of thing.
I love that because you keep your beard when you're all made up.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's amazing. What first inspired you to do drag and perform?
I'm a very late start to drag. So for my 35th birthday was the first time I was ever put in drag by one of my drag mothers, Shani T-Bone, who is a Brisbane icon and legend. And I had a full drag birthday party for my 35th. And then a couple of months later, went to a work event, which don't happen anymore, unfortunately. But I met my now current partner, Moose, and they've kind of helped me through all of it. And I've been performing in like a week and a half. It'll be 5 years I've been performing.
Wow. Yeah.
Good on you.
How did you start performing? Did someone just go, you should do this if you're going to start dressing up, or?
So I went to the Evie Oddly and Plastic Tiara meet and greet in drag that my partner put me in.
Wow.
And then we signed up to do a work at the end of December. And partway through the show, there was this epic downpour and the venue we're at was an outside venue. So we didn't get to perform yet. And the venue got shut down, so we had to leave. So the debut was meant to be in December, but then come around January, my partner's like, if you want to do it, I'll support you. And then, just started from there. And so, Work It, which used to be run in Brisbane, was a little entry-level performer competition. So there'd be like a prize package at the end and anyone can enter and do whatever they wanted and they'd be judged. And then there'd be like the lip sync for your life battle at the end for a winner to take out the whole entire thing.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Was that really nerve-wracking being a first-time drag performer knowing you were going to be judged in a competition?
I think it was at the time. Also, everything was just so nervous in the beginning because you're just like, you want everything to be perfect. You want it all to go well. I did Small Talk by Katy Perry. That was the song I performed.
Wow.
And missed my prop cues for pieces and all that stuff. And it wasn't perfect, but it didn't matter. I did it.
But did you have fun?
I think I did. I think I did at the time.
That's the most important thing.
That's such a motherly thing to say. But did you have fun? I was going to ask, the most important thing is, did the audience know that things went wrong? Because we as performers know that everything always goes wrong.
Just keep going.
And Lauren's like, but did you have fun?
The mum came out in me. Calm down.
I mean, I'm still, 5 years into it now and still doing it. So I guess I did have fun.
Yeah. Look, that is the main thing.
That is, exactly. See? My question was warranted. We spoke a bit in the beginning about how you and I connected being spiritual and knowing each other that way. We had a great conversation about that. Do you think that your spiritual side has impacted your performing and your drag?
Well, I know a lot of my performing in large groups of people, I've had years of experience of doing that previous to drag and burlesque. So being in front of a large crowd of people wasn't intimidating. And I think things like being able to ground and center beforehand, so taking a deep breath and just being present in the moment from like years of practice of doing that really helps. And just knowing what I need after performing, because there's this full adrenaline rush. And I need space. I need not to interact with anyone. I need some water, I need a snack, I need to get myself back. That all kind of helped. And then now, in the last couple of years, I've been incorporating more actual active witchy things into my performances. So it's really brought this whole other element in now. So it's woven its way in. So it's like my witchy side and my drag side were separate for a while, but now they're all just kind of mingled together.
I think that's beautiful because you're allowing all of your authentic selves to combine and become one together and showcase who you are.
And creative space is limitless. You could do whatever you wanted and people will just love it because you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So good. You also mentioned before we started recording that you co-produce Heelfire Club. So do you want to talk about what is Heelfire Club?
Oh, absolutely. So Heelfire Club is founded by myself and Boo Deja Boo, who is my drag child. And essentially it's like a nerdy celebration of burlesque, performance art, drag. We do it 4 times a year. Each show has a theme. We do little games and a dress-up competition. And it's just a night of fun and stupidity. And
I love that.
I love that so much.
Have you built a little community around that?
Oh, absolutely. So we're in March is our second birthday. So we've done 2 full cycles. So that's 8 shows so far. We've got people that help us with stage stuff now. We've got a whole little community that rocks up and shows support. So yeah. And then a whole set of performers that are always begging to come back and perform again. So that's what you want as a producer for a show.
Yeah, absolutely. And where do they take place for any of our listeners who are wanting to get themselves along to Heelfire Club?
Yeah, so it's at the Paddington Hall in Paddington. So it's local enough to the city sort of thing. So it's not too far out. You don't have to go to the valley sort of thing.
Thank God.
Thank goodness.
Once you exceed 30 years, you don't want to go anywhere near the valley.
Oh, yeah. I turned 40 last year. I was just like, yeah, no. Anything after 9 o'clock now, I'm like, no.
Oh,
no,
literally.
I mean, we just had New Year's.
I was going to say the same thing.
10 o'clock came and we were like, oh, and we had people over and we're like, are they going to leave soon or what?
Same at midnight.
Well, what are some highlights of your performing career so far?
Oh my God, when I saw this question, I was just like, it's a long list.
We've got time.
I've been lucky enough to perform at the Queen's Ball twice in 2 different performances. So first time I performed in Stardust, which was a full drag showgirl extravaganza performance. And then this past year, I performed with Ability, which is a showcase of disabled and chronically ill performers. So
I love that.
it was amazing having that representation there, especially as I'm engaging more with parts of my body is shutting down or failing me or just health issues happen. It's having that accessible vision of us up on stage really was amazing this year. And we had a full standing ovation after the whole entire performance. So
wow,
that was incredible. Well, I've been nominated for Drag Performer of the Year twice at the Queen's Ball. So last year and the year before that. Thank you. I've done the Burlesque Bulletin. I've been on Queer Radio twice for different things.
You're producer of amazing queer shows.
Yeah. Heelfire Club.
Produced a show. Travelled interstate to perform at the Witches Ball in Sydney. So I got to host that event, which was cool. Going back to my old community because I used to live in Sydney. I've only been in Brisbane 13 years now, I think. So yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Lauren's originally from Frankston.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. We're not all perfect. Well, let's go back in time for a hot minute and talk about your queer awakening. Mm-hmm. So give us all the goss. Where did it start for you?
So being a teenager growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, SBS Up Late would have been my access to a lot of queer media. So Queer as Folk was the show where I had a lot of exposure to queer relationships and all that sort of thing. And that would have been most of it. But I'm also I came out later than that sort of thing. So I think for a lot of that time, I was aware I was queer, but I kind of suppressed it or just tried to be straight passing and all that sort of stuff and just live my life. I was white boy living in Southwest Sydney, don't want to be causing too many ripples in the community sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whole other story now, but yeah, back then it was just kind of just live my life how it was. And I think also exposure to witchcraft and all that speeded the queer process up.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like the witchy spiritual community is a lot more open and accepting of queer community.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely in Brisbane, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. So you just spoke on your queer awakening and really your only representation was that Queer as Folk.
Yeah, we don't give SBS enough credit, do we, really? They were
They paved the way a little bit.
Yeah, they did. They showed all the things that, other stations wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was cultural.
Yeah, it was all the Up Late stuff as well and world movies. I think I saw a bunch of different things on World Movies was the other thing. So yeah, like if you're up at 10 p.m. at night sneaking out to watch TV to see what's on. Yeah.
That's why all these queer people know how to stay up late and party hard these days, because we had to sneak to watch the TV.
Speaking of SBS though, up late, I used to get the TV guide out of the paper because my dad used to buy the paper, and I'd be like circling all these things not knowing that it was like half pornographic and I was like 10. Oops.
I was like, this is going to be a weird segue now.
To be fair, I didn't stay up and watch it because I was like, oh yeah, 10 p.m, that's not late.
I was going to say, the porn's a weird segue, but what is your coming out story?
So I came out to friends before everything else. So it was my coven at the time. So for those that don't know, witches in a working group are often called a coven. So it was at a Beltane, which is like our big spring fertility celebration. So a lot of that is about the god and the goddess consummating their love. And I was just like, yeah, that doesn't feel right with my personal narrative sort of thing.
You're like, where's the god and the god part? Yeah, to that party.
Where's everything? Where's like all of them just doing it? So yeah, then that happened. And then weird side tangent. I was hit by a car. Life changed everything.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, we're very grateful that you're still here today and on
definitely.
our podcast to tell your story.
Well, this is the other thing about like when they say be careful what you wish for. As a witch crossing at a crossroads, so I work with a deity that works with crossroads, asking for a break. You need to be very specific what you get.
Absolutely.
A break for. So yeah, ended up being hit by a car, breaking my shoulder, ages of recovery. And I was just like, nah, it's fucking time to tell my parents. I did it via text message. Couldn't handle talking to them about it.
But we do what we can, right? You do what you can in the space that you have.
Yeah, to them both being like, oh yeah, no, we understand. We've kind of suspected for ages. I would have been 24 or 25 at the time. So yeah, they knew.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I came out at 26.
Yeah.
So.
Lauren was a late bloomer.
I was.
So we talked about Queer as Folk being that first kind of representation that you saw on television, but do you remember any other turning points? You mentioned you were very in that like straight white man in Sydney, and then you've gone on this journey. So what was the turning point for you to go, hang on, I am going to live my life authentically? What kind of gave you the gusto to do that?
I think I started going to a social group in my local area. So it was Southwest Sydney. It was just a whole bunch of average guys, essentially. Just the guy you'd see down at the shop buying some mints sort of thing. And you'd be like, oh, you're gay? Oh, I wouldn't even suspect that. So I think it was that finding a community to connect with. And then realizing that I'm like, okay, so the hypersexualized, hyperqueerized version I've seen on Queer as Folk doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way to express my queerness and my identity. And then it was kind of, baby steps out of all of that. And I think one of the biggest turning points was the year that our little community group got to have a float in the Sydney Mardi Gras. So we got to like dance on the back of a truck around thousands and thousands of queer people. And
wow.
That's like really cool.
Finding community is finding ultimate safety too. It's like safety in numbers as always with everything, but also just to walk in a room and be in a space where you can just be you and know that no one is going to judge you is like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who was your queer awakening crush?
Oh.
Also, this can be... I have to say, because Jess makes fun of me all the time for this.
Lauren's going to say it can also be a cartoon.
I was going to say it can also be a cartoon.
Oh, I know. I've listened to your episode.
Anyways.
Stereotypically, Johnny Bravo is in there as the cartoon kind of crush.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Like, it's forever ago. I'm old at this point. I'm trying to think back to then. I don't think there's like one clear person I can think of. Not even really currently. That's the other thing I'm like.
Are you stuck on cartoons? Because it can be a real person.
Oh, I was thinking of like even real life crushes and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, wait, no.
Here we go. I'm ready.
Angel from Buffy, David Boreanaz.
Yes.
I can see that.
Even I liked him, and I'm gay.
Definitely the early seasons.
Well, as we're at the beginning of a new year, what's on your bucket list, both professionally and personally, for 2025?
Oh, well, I want to travel interstate and perform again. That's definitely on my list. I want to run something utterly witchy for the community because I haven't done that in quite a while.
Please do.
So there's already plans in the works for that. I'm co-producing 5 shows for Heelfire. We're doing a little extra secret one that'll be announced somewhere along the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've got our 4 standard shows. So our birthday show, which is going to be Alice in Wonderland themed.
Love that.
Lauren, you're going to love this. We are doing a show called Let's Get Animated. So maybe there will be someone that will do a Shigo performance for you.
Don't she'll leave me.
No, I won't.
Jess, this is an opportunity for you to do a Shigo performance.
I could.
See? There we go.
I'm not very good at dancing. It would be very awkward.
You've got time. It's not till
It's got to
the
be
end
better
of May.
than mine.
Okay. Got about 5 months.
You've got rhythm at least.
at least.
And then, we're doing a show devoted to Jim Henson. So that's everything Muppets, Sesame Street, Labyrinth, all that stuff.
Yes.
Wow.
And then our Halloween show, as usual. So whatever happens with that one. I plan on doing a couple of burlesque debuts. I've got up my sleeve, already planning them. Maybe a comp or 2 along the way. We'll see.
Ooh. Busy.
Yeah.
You still have a full-time job behind all of these things that you do. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I work for one of the horrible major supermarkets.
We won't mention names on here.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, they fund my life, but I'm at the point where the funding of life and the happiness related to the job don't match anymore. So 2025 is a new job time. That's what I'm feeling as well. Energy for new career path. Not sure what I'll do yet, but putting it out.
It's on the bucket list.
It's on the cards.
Yeah.
Would you want to go burlesque or drag full-time?
No. No way.
So what would your dream job be?
I don't know. This is the problem as well. It's like thinking about it. I've done customer service for so long in my life, but if I was to continue doing that, it would have to be a product or company I believe in. I'm at that point where morals are so much more important in regards to all of that. Or I don't know, my partner works in the medical field, so maybe I could do some medical admin or something. The pay is quite good there, so...
Yeah, something more, what's the word?
Sustainable.
Yeah, that work-life balance is so important, and I feel like we're at this point in life where, as you said, you have to really believe in something to keep dedicating all of your hours to it during the week or, during the year. It all adds up, and you got to be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, so true.
Who is a performer that inspires you the most?
Ooh, that's a good question.
There's a whole bunch of different performers that I love what they do and take little bits of each of it and try to bring that energy into my life. Like Jinx Monsoon is always one of my favorites.
I love Jinx Monsoon.
And just watching her whole entire gender identity journey and transformation and just going from being on Drag Race and being on Doctor Who and doing all this sort of stuff.
Amazing
and just,
things.
Yeah, and witchy as well. I'm just like,
everything.
Icon and legend. There's so many local performers that I'm in love with. So BB LaBeouf, who runs BB's School of Performance, is one of my favorite people in the whole entire scene, inspiring me to have the everyday job and still be this burlesque badass and run a whole entire school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Archie Arsenic is another inspiration. We've become a lot closer in the last few years and everything, messaging back and forth, supporting each other on our own health journeys and all that. Yeah, there's just so many people. I just surround them all. They're all my friends. So it's just, I'm constantly lucky to be blessed having them around me and being able to draw on their wisdom and seeing them perform and being able to hype them up and all that stuff is just incredible.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Being a hype crew and then having a hype crew can change a lot of things for a performer.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a walking hype crew. You'll hear me.
I love
You'll
that.
hear me 3 suburbs away if I'm in a crowd.
Yay.
To be fair, you've also been hype crew for us.
Yeah.
And we love that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
This is a bit of a fun, different one. If you could perform on stage with anyone alive or dead, who would it be?
Oh, I was talking to my partner about this. My favorite artist, who didn't make it as my top one on my Spotify Wrapped last year because Chapel took over my whole entire year.
I think Chapel took over everyone's year.
Unapologetically queer and just anthems of the year. Fuck me.
Yeah.
So good.
Chapel was like Stephen Bradbury in that ice race. Everyone had all these other artists lined up and she just came through.
Yeah.
She's been around for ages because She performed in Brisbane like November in 2023 to maybe a couple of hundred people or something like that. And now she's selling out whole entire arenas and stuff.
But it's the TikTok trend, right? The minute you can get something trending on TikTok, you've kind of made yourself.
Yeah. But it would be Florence and the Machine.
Oh, I love Florence and the Machine.
That's such a great answer.
Yeah.
Just the witchiness, the music, all of that. And I don't know if you've ever heard any of her. She's done like spoken poem versions of her songs.
Oh, no.
Look them up. It's just beautiful harp music and stuff in the background and her just reading the lyrics of the song like it's a poem. And I'm like, I want to perform to that while she does that. So that'd be it.
One of my greatest memories is seeing Florence and the Machine perform at the Hollywood Bowl in LA. I went to that show and oh my God, by the end in the last song.
Are you jealous?
I can't even remember. I think Ship to Wreck was like the song that they ended on. And she just like took her shirt off and was in this gold bra and she's like running up and down the stadium and it's, oh my God, it was such a time and it's such a fond memory.
You're like gold bra.
Yeah.
Core memes.
Just quickly, going back, I just wanted to ask you, because you mentioned Drag Race. Have you ever thought about going on or did you ever try out?
I haven't tried out. My partner has.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the thing I'd want to do because also I don't wear heels in drag because of physical limitations. And I know I would get read to filth for that on stage. I think it's like a fun ideal, but it's not for everyone. And I know that especially because now a lot of my performance is more spoken word, audience engaged, performance styles. And if I have to, I'll lip sync sort of thing. I'm like, I'll probably be great in an acting challenge or reading bitches to filth. But like having to do lip sync stuff again, I'd just be like, oh, really?
Yeah. In regard to what you just said, do you feel like Drag Race is really only targeted to certain performers and doesn't really encapture what all drag is about?
Absolutely. I think it's a great entry level to drag. So if you're like, what can drag look like? It can be a great view of what it is. If I was to say a good representation of Australian drag, this last season has been amazing.
Yes, agree.
we
Definitely
just
having
finished watching it.
Oh yeah. And having 2 local queens make it to the top 4.
Yes,
amazing. And just, it felt more personable. So they actually interacted more and we got more interesting stuff where I think it's also just like so overproduced at this point.
Yeah.
The original seasons, the drama was real, where now it's just the producers poking someone to be like, hey, you should talk to this person about this thing and see what happens. And
yeah. I reckon Drag Race is probably like the starter pack if you're just introducing a friend to drag.
That's how I started. I got into season 1 of Drag Race, original Drag Race, watched all of that. But I'm more a bigger fan of Drag Race UK, I feel is a lot better.
That's your fave.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
UK
good.
is my favourite.
It's so good.
Did you like Michelle Visage as the host?
I loved her as the host. She was
Same.
so good, and especially the Jaffa one-on-one discussion at the end. Because, she's drag adjacent, so she's not fully drag. But she's been around it enough, observed it enough, experienced it enough that it works.
Yeah.
And I feel like being that adjacent person, she can kind of be more subjective as well to the art form as opposed to RuPaul being a drag queen himself and judging other drag queens. It's kind of like she has that outside perspective of, everybody can do drag so differently and it still counts as art.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's also why I enjoy Dragula so much now as well, because the way they judge everything and their opinions are subjective and everyone's drag is their own drag and you can't truly be like judged or destroyed in that process essentially because the way you express yourself is your expression.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Before we say goodbye, would you like to tell everybody, if you have them with you, the dates that Heelfire Club is on and where anyone could catch you performing as Ursa Major in your burlesque?
Sure. So the first date for the year is the 1st of March. And that will be at the Paddington Hall, and that is the Unbirthday party. So it is Alice in Wonderland themed. The next show is the 31st of May, which is Let's Get Animated.
That's where Jess is performing.
Yeah, as She-Go.
No promises that I can't keep.
I'm looking forward to seeing that application. The 19th of July is the Jim Henson show. And then the 18th of October is Heeloween 3, which is also Boo's 30th birthday. So that will be a big one.
That's very close to my birthday.
Yeah, Lauren and I definitely have to make it too. I think most of those sound amazing, to be honest. So, yeah, you'll probably see us on the 1st of March, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Well, Brenda's been trying to get me there for ages because it's Alice in Wonderland
themed. Why haven't you showed up?
Because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, then we'll make it
This is the second time we're doing it. So the audience actually got to pick the birthday show theme. So we did a whole entire poll because we went back to the first 3 themes we ever did. So we did Super Mario Brothers, Star Wars, and Alice in Wonderland.
That's cool.
By a landslide, Alice in Wonderland won. So
awesome.
It's coming
Alice
back.
in Wonderland is so queer-coded though, isn't it? Like, it's so queer. You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's about finding your right size and not knowing where to go and trying to believe in impossible things and being lost and mad and queer all at once.
And it's full of magic.
Yeah. Well, it's just an acid trip though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Well, before we go, we are going to ask you a very philosophical question that we're going to use throughout this year of Just Gay Stuff podcast, and that is, do you like being queer? It is quite a heavy question and it can be weighted in parts, but we want to know your perspective on how you view your queerness.
If I was to look at myself as like a complete package and parts and pieces, it is one of the pieces I would never give up about myself.
That's amazing.
It inspires so much of my life, and so much of my identifying parts are all queer in different parts. Like, the word is amazing. It just has this like warm resonance in my body. So yeah, it's definitely something I fully embraced once I kind of years of finding that journey and going through the dark and having like questioning nights about who am I? What is this part of myself? And I think I've been through all those hateful moments and self-doubt and the like inner saboteur and all that sort of stuff. And now I'm just like, yeah, I'm fucking hella queer. You can't change that about me. I don't hide that light anymore. I just let it shine.
That's an amazing way to end this episode. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
And you should never hide your light.
No. And just having this 40 minutes with you has been amazing. You are such a light to talk to.
Such a warm energy.
Yeah, bright and bubbly.
It's the bear. That's what it is.
Always
choose the bear.
Yes, what a time. What a time. Oh, thank you so much. We will put all of your links to your Instagram so people can follow Lady Sasscrotch. We will put all the links to Heelfire Club for anybody who wants to go along and see those amazing shows. Get out there, support your local talent, support your local shows. They are amazing. As we've said on the podcast before, and just talking about Drag Race and seeing real drag and real performances.
Support your local artists.
Yeah, get into the local stuff because that's where it's the most authentic. So
that's where it's the most fun.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll see us there.
And looking at the calendar, there is something on all the time. So if you are ever in doubt, drop into my DMs on any of my social medias and I can tell you events that are happening somewhere in the city.
That's
amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brendan, for joining us on Just Gay Stuff podcast.
Until next week, you better
remember to
stay gay, motherfuckers.
Woo!
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.